We are back in X4 Foundations 4.0 with a new beta patch. So this is patch 5. As always, the patch notes will be available in the link in the description. So if you don't want to hear me drone on about them or show them off, you can just go read them there. And I can't go through all the patch notes. This is a pretty hefty patch. But I will show off as much as I can. So there's 2 new features in this patch. One is terraforming, which I know a lot of people are waiting on. And the second has to do with more dynamic relations and showing them on the map and HUD. So the issue with terraforming is it requires, it's an end game system that takes quite a bit to do. And I don't have a save game at the moment that has the story completed, player HQ, and shipyard. So I can't show that off in this video, but I will endeavor to show that off soon. But we can get started with the new hostile relation status feature. So this basically ties into the fire authorization system as well. So what does this actually look like? All right, let's see. So we know Zyarth we are negative 15 relation with. And as you can see on the left here, the colors of the ships have changed. So the idea is the colors will represent the likelihood of attack. So if we look at a Xenon system, where's a Xenon ship? Usually some Hatik was... See, there are... Wait, there we go. There's one. The Xenon ship is red right here at the lower left. So that is pretty likely to attack. The Zyarth is a lower shade, so combat is not as likely to take place. Now, if we go into fire authorization mode, let's go change that real quick. It's under global orders. Create a new fire authorization. We'll make the Zyarth, we'll go ruthless with them, which pretty much means all-out war. We'll save as default and save override. Now if we take a look at that new authorization policy, we'll go here, look at the Zyarth, show me ships and stations. See, now they're red, because combat will definitely occur with them since I set the policy to ruthless. And it's just a nice way to see on a map who you're going to get in a fight with and things like that. It also shows up in the HUD, so you'll see the colors in your HUD. So like the Zyarth will start to be red on your HUD as well, automatically due to the policy. So we got a couple Zyarth here. They'll still be orange at some point. They'll still be orange on the map, but they'll be red in other places. So you can still tell between the Xenon type ships. I had a little difficulty with this in that I had to get in a pilot seat and leave a station before the override policy and stuff reflected on the map. So just something to keep in mind. So that is the relation status on map and HUD. Let's see if we go to they added a lot of quality of life features in this, I have to admit. So if we go to the HQ, you now have research on here on the right here as part of the tab. They also added a nice feature where you can see what events your ship was involved in. So you select a ship or object, and then there's a logbook tab now. And you can go to that logbook and you could see what exactly they've been up to. So this drill miner has had several police interdictions. 58 minutes ago, 8 hours ago, 14 hours ago. So it's a nice way to inspect your ships and see what's been going on. They also added the ability to sort the ship list over here on the left by relation. So it's by default by name. Now you can reorganize this if you want the hostiles on top or not. This goes from most hostile to least, least hostile to most, or you can put it back to name. The Encyclopedia now has information on mineral deposits and gas. So let's look at Argon Prime, for example. Now you can see its natural resources. So sunlight, which they added last patch, I think, and now ore and silicon, which some kind of measurement with how much is in that sector. So let's look at Heart of Acrimony. They got hydrogen, ice, ore, and silicon there. A lot of ice. So this is a good way to kind of see what the sectors you know about have without having to go drop a resource probe. The resource probe will still be useful in finding the denser concentrations of the element within that sector, but think of this as just, I need to find some ice. They supposedly added guaranteed completion rewards for all guild mission chains. Now, I don't know if this is just because these are existing missions, but I don't see that working yet. Like for build defense, I think there should be a top level reward. I think that's what that means, but I don't see it here yet. Like there should be some major reward, like for intelligence, you get the paint mod. That could just be because I patched it and started up the game. These may have to cycle out and the new ones will have it. But I hope they did that. I hope that's what that patch notes means, because the ones without rewards just seem weird and kind of just stands out as not being right. Another new UI change they made was to improve the plan build part of the station. So let's take a look at that. It looks less cluttered, and notice that there used to be 3 options here. Now there's only 2. The manage, which is basically the same, and resources needed to complete. So this is where they changed it a bit, because there used to be resources you had and resources you need to complete. Now they've condensed those 2 into 1. So this station, I'm short about 110, 112 Claytronics, as you can see there. I have a lot more energy cells than I need, and I need quite a bit more hull parts to get going. So just a nice quality of life UI change. Another little UI change they made was in the filter settings on the map. Think is gone. They kind of just merged that into the other, since there was only, I think, one option, but there wasn't very many options in these 2 menus. So they merged them together. Again, less clutter is always good. We all love mods. They actually made a little improvements to the mod screen, so we can see that in the extensions. And now you got this table with a little more information. It's just a nicer display. Functionally, it hasn't really changed much. You can click on them and get a little more details. My old Universe at War mod. Major powers all at war with each other. I could update some of these sometime. But you can get those dates. So that was a year ago. Plus I did this. Wow. So another quality of life feature. They also added a new contextual command, follow commander, so you can assign groups to follow or add them as subordinates to follow. They'll just kind of follow the commander around. You can also accomplish the same thing with mimic in certain ways depending on their behavior of the commander unit, but follow will just guarantee they always kind of follow. They also made some changes to paint mods in this patch. Basically, they wanted to make them more diverse as rewards for missions, and the guild missions, that is. And they also are starting to reward them for finishing certain plot missions. As for other things, I can't really show much. They improved the KHK presence and behavior, so they'd probably be a bit more of a menace than they are now. That seems to be a tough one to get the right balance over. They improved laser tower targeting, so this should hopefully make them a little more of a nuisance. Also improved capital ship combat movement. Now, that's a hard one to kind of judge. In this case, I wish they would give like a sentence or two explanation of what that means. Like, what should we expect to see as an improvement? They improved trade offer prioritization on your stations when they don't have sufficient funds to pay for everything. Now, I've always suspected that was an issue. I could never really prove it. That if you didn't have enough funds, it would get stuck on certain things. Like, it would get stuck on waiting for graphene it was supposed to buy, rather than buying drones. That's just a possibly made-up example. But hopefully this kind of prioritization will help get those critical things it needs and not get stuck on something. Now, NVIDIA is an ongoing issue from what I can tell. There was a recent NVIDIA driver update, so definitely try that out. I've heard some people, the missing shields display on the HUD is fixed. Others have heard it hasn't fixed, so that is still going on. They have also gone through and fixed a bunch of issues and missions. So there are probably at least 10 changes that involve mission bugs. So a lot of bug fixes in this patch, especially when it comes to missions. A few other important fixes. Defense drones got a fix where they wouldn't actually, defend the fleet. So that's always good. I always have issues with drones. Mainly they don't keep up. And that's a bit of a pain. Like, you're trying to pursue an enemy, but if your drones are out, you end up going much faster. This is probably still an issue, but it could just be me not using drones in the correct way. Some of you may have had an issue with your stations giving you large amounts of small transactions. That should also be fixed in this patch. Same with ships being built without thrusters. That could be a problem, but apparently that was an issue that was introduced in 4.0 and is now fixed. Another neat little fix is they made some improvements to how turrets aim at large objects. I think I've seen this recently, at least in my memory, where the turrets will, if you get near a large object, the turrets will get a little wacky with how they're shoot. They'll end up with like cross-firing and things like that. So I'll have to test if that is still the case, but hopefully that fixed it. I always welcome any improvements with turrets being on target. And that about covers it for this patch. There's a whole bunch of little other fixes and things like that, so be sure to read it. Terraforming is the big change, but as I mentioned at the beginning, you need a lot to start terraforming, so hopefully we'll get some videos out about that soon. But I'm sure if I see anyone else who happens to know about it, I'll be sure to pass on the information. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Have a great day.